Aloha Kohala. It is 3 o'clock here on April 6th, 2022. And I'm looking across at my vibrant, happy, smiling co-host.
Michál, Anna.
Yeah, we're so happy you're here and happy to be here today. So much going on.
I'm happy to be here as well, Eila. It is full time. We're in spring. It's pouring rain here, which is nourishing and giving our plants life. I'm happy all the plants are getting watered today.
Me too. Me too. It's been great to have all this rain. I mean, I have to cut grass, but that's okay because the trees are so happy.
And that kind of makes me think about energy flowing.
Yeah.
And where our energy flows, attention goes. So where our attention goes, energy flows. Mm-hmm. So wherever we're putting our attention is where our energy is going to be flowing to. And that's kind of been on my mind to talk about today is where are you putting your attention? Mm-hmm. Because wherever we're letting, even if it's small thoughts, wherever we're letting our attention go, energy is leaking out too.
Right.
Back to that kind of we're a house, or if we think of ourselves as a house or a temple, and what is getting plugged into that? Are we letting low level energies leach? So where are we putting our attention throughout our day?
I think that's really valuable. And as you're talking about that, I'm thinking sometimes things come into our life that need our attention. And maybe they're not of the highest vibration, but we have to take care of something. And I was just thinking, there's a way to deal with that, but then shift. Don't dwell in that, whatever that is, that energy that is not going to serve you. Do you know what I mean? Like there's tasks that have to happen. Something happens and you have to take care of it. But that doesn't mean I have to think about it for another hour after I'm done with it. I can let it go and then go back to my happy place.
Well, even I'm going to go a moment before that is to greet whatever it is that's coming in by staying in the vibration that you're already inhabiting so that you don't actually drop into a lower vibration to meet that problem or need, but that you stay in your centered energy. And while staying in that energy, you might have an easier answer. It may seem more effortless. It might seem a little like smoother, like no skin off my back, just something to be done, just something to deal with. And so your energy can stay high. So it doesn't feel like you're being pulled off your thing or drained or taken off course.
Right. So you don't lose your energy, you lose where you're at.
Right.
And kind of, like you say, not drop.
So that kind of brings in probably cords, because if your energy is changing when a problem is being met, that means you're allowing a situation to cord you. We cord things all the time, which just means we allow threads of energy to start to move between us and a situation, us and a problem, us and a people. If I'm worried about my mom, worried about my friends, my aunt, I can cord those people just by worrying about them, for instance. So it's not like a negative stuff necessarily. You wouldn't think of it as negative. It's just lacing our energy with something when we don't really need to be laced to anything. We want to be connected to source energy, connected to the earth and nothing else. So we're just receiving guidance from our whole neutral self, and then activating what needs to happen without interlacing our energy with anything around us. We're just in wholeness, radiating versus cording.
And as you say that, I know when someone will say to me, "Oh, I'm so worried about you," it feels heavy.
Yeah.
And it feels like I don't want that.
Exactly.
And I can't control the other person, but I can say, I don't need you to worry. I'm good, like right where I am. But it's important that we know that can happen from that kind of energy of worry or, oh, I'm so concerned. How are you going to handle? That's just not empowering the other person. It's not doing anything positive for anybody.
Well, and you might, I've actually told a friend of mine before when they've said, I'm really concerned about so-and-so, they're blah, blah, blah. And I said, if you're really concerned about that person, then instead of speaking about the terrible things going on for them, let's speak let's speak life to them. Like, let's speak, I see them having everything they need. The spirit will guide them, that they're going to have exactly what needs for them. And we see them healthy and vibrant and their highest good. And we just see her there now. Let's see her there.
So so there is something a tool that we can do with that concern. So we start to feel concern about something or someone. We recognize it, and then we say, okay, what do I want to help this person achieve, or what do I see for this person that's positive, or simply just sending them love. Just send them lots of love and trust that everything's going to go where it needs to go.
Exactly. It's really the age-old adage, give it to God. Give it to God. You give it all to God. You're worried about someone, give them to God. Pray about it. And trust. The whole foundation of faith and trust is that you actually mean it. If I trust you, I'm not hovering over your shoulder, making sure you're doing it correctly. I trust you. You got it. So that means I give it to God. I trust God. That's the source energy is navigating this scenario, however you choose to use those words. But that the one is navigating this. And so I trust that. So I don't have to continue worrying or think, oh no, it's not going to happen. Well, that's not really trusting. So if I'm trusting, I just surrender. I allow, I give it up in prayer. I speak the positive. I speak what I'm wanting to see have happen. And I'm letting go of the horrific story or the story I don't want, because holding that story is just going to bring it more to me.
Right. Again, attention goes, right? Where
energy flows where attention goes.
There you go. Well, and I know growing up, as I think about the word worry, I think a lot of people, and I don't want to make anybody wrong, is that a lot of us may have grown up in an environment where if you really care about someone, you worry about them. Like,
well, that was a program. Yeah.
That was a program. So that's something, if that's how you were raised out there, if your mom was like that, or somebody in your life has been like that, or you find you're like that, don't make anybody wrong. It's just about, as we become more aware and as we become more conscious, we can shift these things, and then we can also not pass them down to the next generations.
Well, yeah. I hear you. Growing up, my grandmother always worried about me. Every time I come over, call me when you get home. I only see her so many days in the year, but when I'm visiting her, I need to call her when I get home. What about all the other days that I'm off doing things? She doesn't know where I'm at. But when I go visit, when I make sure you get home, because we worry, right?
Yeah.
And so that is something we've all kind of done with family. We worry or put that in there, and we think that's helping to be concerned. But again, back to what are we really doing? And that's kind of looking at our power of our words, right? Because our energy is flowing through our words and the choice of our words. And when we start to pay attention, we realize we say a lot of things that aren't necessarily very empowering. Mm-hmm. So what am I really speaking out of my mouth? And do I want that to be what I'm putting out into a prayer? Because in essence, you're praying every time you speak, sort of. We're creating our life. We're creating with our thoughts, our words, our actions, our deeds. So that becomes a stocking of how we want to put something out into the world. I
was on a walk today, and as I was walking down Hawaii Road, I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and it was this like a 2-inch little bird, and it wasn't really, really tiny, but it was small. It clearly wasn't supposed to be right there on the ground, but it was. And I wanted to just scoop it up and take it home and make it safe and call the wildlife people and see if they could help it. And then I was like, just, you know what? You're just walking past here. Chill out and observe. So I kind of stepped back, walked across the street, and then I just watched. And the little bird was chirp, 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 chirping. And then an adult bird came and flew by it again. And I thought, I need to stay out. It wasn't in harm's way from the cars or anything. And I thought, they'll figure that out. And I empower them to figure that out. And I'm not supposed to do anything for that other than, say some positive things, say a prayer for them, and move on. And, to me, that's just a lesson in life. We're not always supposed to do something. We don't always have to step in and fix it. Maybe sometimes we do need to step in, but even that concept of fixing it for someone versus empowering them to do what they need to do. So that was kind of nice.
That's powerful.
Little nature moment this morning.
I love it. I love it. Yes, absolutely. And seeing those little lessons, because you could easily not get that little lesson, but that you paid attention, sat with it, and took the time to receive the lesson.
Yeah.
And that's really important because often we tend to not make time in our day to have those kind of revelations, little tidbits that we go, oh, aha, okay, I'm going to take that and go on.
Well, Wednesday is my day when we're coming here. Wednesday is it's very important to me to take time to be in nature, to take my walk, to observe, to listen, not to not to television or media, but to listen within, to listen and pay attention. So I really appreciated that little bird and that lesson as I was wandering today. I thought, I'm glad I'm here at this moment in time.
Yes. So if you're writing anything down today, because there's some tools here for energy flows where attention goes, we gave one already around shifting, shifting outside forces and seeing it in the positive light. That's one really good tool, giving it to God. And then now we're talking about this internal seeing and using your experiences to have little revelations and making time for that to happen. So creating time and space in your world for things to unfold and unveil.
Magical moments to happen, any kind of moments to happen, and to have the time to, in your head, to be able to step back and reflect. I think it's really important. I had a friend years ago, and we would go, I never used to hike as a kid. I was like afraid of nature, and this friend was very nature focused. So we'd go out on walks, and I'd be looking at the beautiful sky, and she would notice like a little lizard in the ground. Like I never looked down before, so I never had any idea that those things were there. So now I feel like by sharing those experiences with her, I pay more attention to what's down here, over there, up there. I allow myself to be drawn to whatever's happening in nature.
And actually periphery and perspective, some fun words that I love, perspective, because if we just change our perspective on something, we're often able to see a much more manageable solution on something. And I noticed one time when I was with a 11-year-old that his frame of view was not like high, low, mid-range. We have like low, mid-range, high, like look up, look around. That's nature requires that. You have to look around. We look all over. Well, we're in a society where a lot of people are looking at a screen. So they're doing one level of viewing. So I literally was trying to point to him something up high that was straight ahead, and he couldn't see it. He wasn't able to see it. It was literally out of his view plane because he wasn't moving his view around. And so this view plane was getting locked in because of the programmed repetition of just looking at one thing straight in front of you. At the screen. Yeah. So little things like this, right? I mean, we're in tech is a huge topic, but I mean, right off the bat, just saying limit our use of anything, because anything in and of itself is not bad, but we don't want to overuse or abuse anything. So let's use everything as a tool and balance. And then with tech also, energetically cleansing your arms or your hands after you utilize it, or wiping off any cords between you and the screens, because literally we're again cording, connecting with the energy, and we don't need any of those energies on us. And then we want to go look around, right? Go look around. Go see what's to see. Get out there and look up, look down.
Go outside and have some experiences. Something else that came up for me the past couple of weeks, I was watching a video, and sometimes some things will resonate for me. And it feels like there's this time right now that we need as people to be letting go of things. Like there's a lot of purging going on that I see in the energy. And it looks different for each person, you know, whether it's relationships or jobs or habits, there's this need to let go and shift. And sometimes it can feel kind of overwhelming, like, well, oh my God, if I give up this job, then what am I going to do? And these tools came to me that I thought, wow, it just really resonated for me, and I practiced it and I found it so helpful. So I wanted to share. And the first thing was, whatever the situation is that we're in, that we wish was different, that it's just horrible, or a friend that's horrible, a toxic situation, is to first observe it, but then find the gratitude in it. Find one thing to be grateful for in that situation, because that raises your vibration tremendously right there. And from that, start telling the universe what you want. We know what you don't want, right? You know what you don't want. But what do you want? Do you want freedom to express yourself? Do you want freedom to be with certain types of people? Do you want to feel respected? Do you want to feel supported? Do you want to express your creativity? And as you do that, I just found it came back to me very, very quickly in a positive way. Anyway, that's my moment today. Yeah.
That's good. Gratitude, which we've talked about gratitude before, and the
Yes.
vibrational frequencies of emotion. And so gratitude is really high up there. It's, above love. And so in gratitude, if you're feeling really low, you just do the math, you're averaging out, you're lifting yourself up to that next level, which is great. I think gratitude's great for pretty much everything. Actually, just get grateful. There's so much to be grateful for. I mean, all of us are so very blessed. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. I love it.
Yeah, and I find it's a valuable practice for me every day.
Yes.
I'll do it first thing when I get up in the morning, just being grateful to waking up, grateful to get out of bed, grateful for the blue sky or the rainy sky, whatever it is. It helps me start my day on the right foot. And then I often end that way as well, what I was grateful for today.
So that kind of brings up, I was talking with a client who was talking about well, how do I get there? I'm listening to stuff all the time, but I'm still not holding my energy. My head's still going crazy. And, I said, well, and they want something out there to help you. I said, well, at some point you have to realize you can listen to so many different people, but it's you and your energy and holding your own mind and we are literally controlling our thoughts and where they go. So it is an all-day practice, not just a daily practice, but actually an all-day practice in that you get up, how do I want to frame my day? Because where are my thoughts going immediately? So when you start actually stalking, if you're not already, stalking your thoughts, you see how many thoughts you actually have that might not be serving. They could be very fleeting, very subtle, but we often don't pay attention to them. We just brush them aside. But if you actually went, wait a minute, that thought that says something, let's say you couldn't do that. If you stopped and went, yes, I can. Yes, I could do that. I'm amazing. I give thanks and praise. You just reframed that little tiny energy thought, and now you've empowered yourself. You're paying attention to what small currents are running, because those little energies are running all the time. You're not paying attention to them, so they stay there. And they'll come up again in some other way. But if you start actually going, wait, what's here? Then you pull them away. You actually clean house.
As you were talking about that, I thought, sometimes we as people try to just stay busy. That if we're really busy doing stuff, then we won't have to deal with the thoughts. We won't have that. But it's not really fixing anything. It's just kind of putting Band-Aids on it, because you're just distracting yourself with something else. So it's fine to be busy and doing stuff. We all have things we like to do. And there's this need to have the quiet time. And then the thoughts come in and it's like, oh gosh, why am I thinking about that? And there's also something that comes up for me about sometimes I have thoughts because they're connected to somebody else. And because of a certain sensitivity I have, I may be picking up on something else from somewhere else. And it's up to me to figure that out and to clear my energy. Whether it's mine or it's somebody else's doesn't really matter to me. What matters is this making me happy to think about this, or is this taking me down? And if it's taking me down, I need to clear something, and I need to see, well, where did it come from, and how can I let it go?
Yes, because all of our thoughts are actually, there's a root. It's just like nature. And that's why being out in nature is so helpful, because it literally tells you the story. It tells you how everything works. And so you can't just, if you cut a weed, it just grows again, right? So you have to pull the root up. So you need to follow it all the way to the root. What's the root of this? And often it's associated with a wound. That's where our programming comes from. They come from pain loops. And we have pain from places we've given up our power, where we didn't think we were good enough, worthy, loved. We think we're abandoned. So we talk a lot about that stuff, and that's really the core of everything, is our inner relationship with our inner self, our little girl, or even your, 5 years ago self, your 1 year ago self, all, the inner self that's experiencing and reflecting to go, what's really going on? And that's who you're really asking, what's that thought really about? That part of you inside, which I often talk about, it sits right there on your chest. You can put your hand on your chest and go, what's really going on for me? Where's that coming from? And you'll often hear something or just feel into something, however you receive information. It's not like none of us are the same, but allowing yourself to just deepen into like, what is that? And you might feel like, oh, I'm feeling weird right now because, gosh, my father never gave me love like I'm watching this mother give her kid love. And I feel like, well, I didn't get any love from my dad. That's really what I'm feeling. If I could stop and feel that and be honest with myself, then I can go, oh, little girl, I love you, and you're held, you're taken care of. I love you. I've got you, and you're so precious. I can give my inner child what it is she's needing or feeling from the past. Because again, time is not linear. It's happening all the time. So that's not really like the past. It's a present feeling that's just coming up, and I'm just not conscious of it because I'm in this conscious moment as my, this age self, but yet that's still present in my energy field. And if I address it, I can heal it. I can disperse the energy and release it. And then I don't have to continue having that thought again in some other story that I create later.
And it's likely you will create it later because you
course.
haven't healed it. And this is what happens for a lot of people in relationships, is that we don't heal our own stuff, and then we want someone else to love us. But are we loving ourselves? So the more you love yourself, the less you have that, oh, I need this person over here out there to love me. It doesn't mean you don't experience love from other people, but it's not from that needy place, from that wounded place that you're talking about.
Well, yes. And I have a client that I was talking with recently around this, who is going through, love situation, and was back to, I want that love. And I said, again, it goes back to foundational stuff. Okay. So then if you go back to, well, remember that concept, I am that I am. Mm-hmm. Remember that concept, there's nobody out there. If those are true, then what is it you could possibly want out there? So again, we're the programming, and kind of, if you think about, we've watched a lot of movies if you're an American, you've probably seen a ton of blockbuster hits where it's the romance, it's the falling in love, and then it ends when they get married. And, like, I got the girl, I got the guy, but it doesn't show you the actual deep work of what really relationshiping means is, in my viewpoint, relationshiping means I'm willing to look at myself with the mirror that's in front of me and work through my own shit, my own stuff. I'm willing to move through these places. And because really the person in front of me is a reflection on some level of myself. I've called them into my life. And so if I'm willing to do that and work through me and realize it's not the other person, but it's always me. And if I'm looking forward on the path, I want to grow, I want to evolve. That's my goal. I'm connected to source. Source is my primary relationship first and foremost. So I'm looking forward, not at my partner. And then my partner is also looking forward. And if we're walking along that road and we're both doing our work, we look over, we're like, hey, you're still here. Cool, I'm still here. We're doing it. We're still walking forward together. But if I make my issues around my partner and I put all my energy on that, now we're not going anywhere. We're just standing there in the middle of the road. And no one's going anywhere.
No one's going anywhere. Well, and that's kind of what I was talking about before. If you have a situation that's not working, that you're unhappy with, instead of beating it, making a big issue of it and, we have to have these big conversations, start looking at what you want. And energetically, that other person or that situation can raise its vibration to meet you, or it'll dissipate and go somewhere else. It doesn't have to be so dramatic.
Well, and we talk about things. They say, well, that people do this. They go, well, but now we're talking about, but this is serious. We're talking about abuse, or we're talking about sobriety, or we're talking about, child welfare. We're talking about these deep issues.
Right.
Okay, so it applies everywhere.
Right.
There's still nobody out there, and we're still all doing our own work, and it applies across the board. Our prayer across the board is powerful. It doesn't just work over here. Like if we categorize and only let something work here, then we've dissipated the power of it. But it's across the board. If you've learned how to do something, you can learn how to do anything. Because the same process of learning and becoming good at one thing is the same process you would use to learn and become good at something else. They works across all levels. So instead of taking our education, we apply it in really limited forms, only works over here. No, that works all across. Okay, well, if that worked there, like we just talked about the weeding, I see that's a metaphor, but it works everywhere. To get to the root and pull it up. In health, it works the same. We can't just treat the headache. We have to treat why I have a headache. Right. So this concept is across the board. So when you're thinking, this is another tip, another part is to widen your mind, because the amount of limited thinking that goes on, we have so many places where our society, our schooling, our perceived experiences, we have limited ourselves to think, well, that's the way it is. This is how that works. Well, I know about such and such. Well, I know about Russia. Well, I know about this. I know about... And how do we really know about any of these things? What do you really know? I mean, if you really got serious about what you know in your beingness, it's not the same as what you listen to on NPR.
Or anywhere else. Or from anyone else.
Right.
Yeah. And, that goes back to intuition and knowing yourself and connecting to your higher self. One of the things that I've been doing more of is focusing on opening my crown chakra. Really wide, big cone over your head, everybody. And connecting with my higher self more clearly. Because that's who I'm listening to. Other people can talk and I can hear them, but I will listen to my higher self. That has to be primary for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I say to anyone, really, it comes down to this. Do you want to grow? Do you want to evolve? Do you want to grow? Because it's a active, participatory adventure. It doesn't just happen. It's active, which means it's all day long. And some parts of the growth process are more involved than others. Once you've peeled it, like when you're digging up cane grass, it's not fun, right? It's a bummer. You have to shovel hard. You got to get in there, pull it up. It's prickly. It gets on your skin. It itches. It's not fun at all. But then you pull up other weeds like little vines, and they're like poop, poop, easy peasy. So you're going to weed all different areas of your body, mind, spirit. Some are going to be easier than others. Don't get discouraged when it gets hard, because that's when you got to dig in and actually be motivated, and be diligent. So it really looks like doing these tools like Eila just described, opening your crown to the really wide, that cone, connecting to source energy and connecting to the earth, and allowing yourself to be connected to the core of the planet and running this energy, allowing the earth to be nurtured, your own chakra system to be nurtured, and your guidance to be led by source energy. So that goes back to, we're not connecting in to any cord, we're not cording anything, we're releasing cording, and we're releasing connectors on the left, the right, the back of the head to anything, anybody else's information, thoughts, worry, other people's, and we're just allowing source energy to guide the experience, that whatever I need, I will have and know through that. And I release anything bothering me down my grounding into the earth and allow it to be transmuted into light.
I think people need to take a breath on that one. That's very, very valuable. And as you were talking about the weeding, it reminded me of Auntie Miley, who lives at our place. And she's been there 2 years. And she spends often an hour or two outside in the late afternoon, early evening, sitting in the grass, sitting on the ground. And she'll just sit and she'll just dig those weeds. Got to get those weeds. And she sits, she's 81 years old, 82. And she digs those weeds, and to see what she has created over 2 years of digging the weeds and then putting something pretty and then digging some more. And it's that process. It's that you do a little bit each day, and and you have this beautiful garden of life.
That's
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So over the last couple of years, I've been really experiencing that again myself. I mean, a decade or so ago, I was deep in the land working all the time. And then I was traveling and going to Africa and doing all sorts of other things. But I got to really be in the land with this space of time we had this last few years. So it's been amazing. My sweetheart just returned home, and we got to walk around and was just looking at the land and what's grown, and it's been raining a lot. So seeing all these things little by little is exactly how that's happened.
Yeah.
By every day I go outside and I just put something in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I put a few things in the ground each day. I weed a few things each day, and it just a little bit of time. Now, this is why we do everything a little at a time, because if I were to wait and do it all at once, it becomes very overwhelming. And now you're like, I don't even want to do it. It's too much. I need help. But no, if I just plug at it a little at a time, and so that's your daily practice with your body, mind, spirit too. You just plug away a little bit at a time.
Right.
Let me clear something away, plant something good. So I release from my temple any judgment, any feelings of disease, whatever it is you're releasing, and then call in what I'd like. This spirit, this is the house of God. This is my temple. Love lives here. Kindness lives here. Patience lives here. Joy lives here. That's what lives in my temple. That's what's filled in my spirit. You speak it, and so shall it be. It is so important to speak things out loud in this specific time because we're really claiming it. And if you're not claiming something and owning it for yourself, literally all sorts of parasitical vibrational energies are owning it for you, because we give our power away by just like, I don't really need that. And something else is, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So literally, it's like nothing goes to waste.
Right. All right. On that note, we're going to take a station break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The Kohala Night Market returns on Wednesday, April 6th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Village Hub. The community is invited to shop locally produced food and crafts and enjoy entertainment by Mila Polivia and Hula Halau Kalainumia Liloa. Also, food trucks will be cooking up some local grinds, and you can take a photo or a selfie with the Easter Bunny. Partners in Development will have a booth with information on their foster children's program, and you can donate slippers for elementary school kids, size 6, 7, 8, and 9. There will be information booths for Kohala Tool Library, Ma'i Movement, Keiki Pa'ina, and the Kohala Skate Park. That's the Kohala Night Market on Wednesday, April 6th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Kohala Village Hub. See you there.
Update on the Wednesday night market. We will be broadcasting live from Wednesday Night Market at the Hub. It'll either be myself or Eila, all good, with Women's Voices. We'll be out there live and direct. We'll be interviewing folks, bringing them to our little corner booth. If you do make it out, come by our little booth and give us a shout out, talk to us, whatever's on your mind. So we will be broadcasting that from 4 to 6 on Wednesday, live and direct from your community radio station.
Did he say plush? Oh yeah, that's right. Every Friday night, y'all, 6 to 10 p.m., the Plush Lounge right here on your community's only radio station, KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala.
Won't you come to the party? Hush.
Aloha Kohala and welcome back to KNKRLP 96.1 FM Kohala. If you have a question or a comment or would like to bring something to the show, call us here at 808-884-5657. This is Intuitive Talk Story with Eila Allgood and
Michál Anna.
And I want to thank people out there. We both have heard from different people in our community giving us some really helpful and positive feedback about the show. And that's why we're doing it twice a month, and we'll continue to.
Yes, it's great. We love being here, and I love the opportunity to come sit and talk with Eila and
it's great.
connect and talk about what's alive out there and what's happening. And I wanted to touch back on what Eila was saying about purging right now, and that's so true because of this equinox and spring. We're in this renewal time. We're getting lots of rain, as we said before, which is all about washing clean and purging, rejuvenating, and it is really the time that on a deeper level, for those that are doing that deeper work, all the hardware and things are falling away from the planetary grid and from ourselves. What that means is that everything that doesn't serve you has the opportunity to go. So it's time to let go of the old stories, let go of those programs, and release them. And again, how do we do that? We do that by connecting into source, connecting to the earth, grounding, cutting cords, releasing connectors left and right at the back of the head, and setting our energy in protection for a field of energetic love, light, and grace around us so we can move through our day. Then throughout your day, you are stalking your mind. Thoughts will come up, and it is important to acknowledge them and move them and deal with them because you are creating your reality at all times. So if I'm not dealing with those small level thoughts, they're creating something for me to deal with already. And it's going to come forward whenever. So I could either avoid that and change my thoughts now, or I could allow that stuff to keep running and then deal with the physical manifestation of that ill thought. So in general, we're creating all the time. So if I can nip it in the bud, as they say, then it doesn't have to become something else. So that's why we're being very aware of our thoughts. You're literally not controlling like, what am I thinking? But you're being aware and you're noticing, you're being the observer, and you're also being curious. Like, hey, what is that? Let's find out. And you're not getting sucked into the emotion or energy of something because nothing has power over me. Nothing has power over you, right? So you're like, nothing has power over me. I'm in control of this vessel. I'm just seeing what's here. Like we talked about earlier, staying in your vibration, seeing what it is, and then dealing with it, moving it. Oh, there's a scrape here. Like that kind of energy. I just need to clean it out and deal with it.
And you were talking about some of the experiences you have with clients. And as you're talking, I'm reminded about times where I've been talking to somebody and I'm looking into their eyes and they're saying something that's really pretty low vibrational. And I feel like there's an entity on them. There's this other energy. And I don't know if everyone is aware of it or if they need to be aware of it. The concept that there are other energies floating around us all the time. And based on where our vibration is, determines who comes in and who doesn't come in.
Yes. So this is what I do every day. So this is where I work a lot, and I don't really talk about this as deeply on the air, of course, but I'm gonna throw out a couple things for you here.
Okay.
So actually, yes, there are lots of entities, bugs, entities, hardware. I see energetically speaking, dimensionally speaking, literally like maggoty worms that usually feed on the connector zones. It's just like you outside in the physical world. If you have two pipes connected, there's often a little bit of overflow. Sometimes they leak. So energetic maggots hang out there, eat a little energy. So this is all parasitical, energetic parasites, right? So think of that in the physical world. Parasites are a low vibrational frequency in our physical body. So if we have like candida, for instance, is a parasite that's a low vibration. It goes with depression, not feeling good about the self. We tend to overeat sugar. We tend to and once we do that, we attract, just like if you leave out a cookie on your counter, ants will come, right?
Right.
Because it attracts those bugs. They love that sugar. They want it. Let me eat it. So there's this million things that we're eating on the stores that literally convert to sugar and are poison in essence. So the bottom line there is shop the exterior of the store. The internal store, the supermarkets are pretty much filled with poison in my mind's eye. So you want to eat real food, bottom line.
Whole food.
Whole
Yeah.
food.
Whole
Real
food.
whole
Yeah.
food. Good, nourishing.
Which a lot of people here do, and with the farmers market that we have, and
Yeah,
we have
we're,
so many
again, so
great places to get food here in Kohala. But there are people listening from other parts of the country and world, so do your best to get your fresh food. So let's go back to the concept of entities and parasites energetically that are around us and can attach to us.
So there's also snakes. And you can think of these in terms of an entity, like an energy, like the energy of jealousy, envy. Those are energies. They're actual energies. And they look like a parasite, but it's an energy. So if I'm riddled with envy, I probably have a snake on me that looks like, and it's a snake of envy, literally. And it's crawling. And I mean, there's things that
Yeah.
come with that because it's poisoning. It's putting in energies. We are susceptible to those things. Why? Because of our wound. Back to wounding. Well, it might have been because I was, bombarded. I was hurt, or I never had enough, and so I always wanted something because I didn't get any. We have a wound that then brings these things because the snakes and the entities become a friend to the inner. They're like you think they're helping you. Anger is a snake. It's like a friend. Oh, but I'm here. Something, the energies of alcohol for, it's an energy. That's what they said. You drink spirits. You're
Right.
literally drinking a spirit that's a friend. And people make friends with this spirit of alcohol, and it consoles you. It helps you on some low level. It's helping you down here, but it's not.
It gets you through something,
Right.
but it's not good for the big picture.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's
You're
down
gonna pay
there
later.
still playing. Well, you're sitting in the mire, but it gets you like on the shore.
Yeah.
So we can sit on the mire together and kind of mourn it all together.
Yeah,
But I'm not
commiserate.
I can
Yeah.
commiserate with you.
Yeah.
But I'm not really going higher.
Yeah.
Because I'm staying down here with you, little snake. So we want to release the energies of jealousy, the energies of envy. So all those entities, those things are attached to, again, thoughts, feelings, wound that we've had. That's how we keep anything on us, is by believing we're not good enough, believing that I can't do that, hitting ourselves on the head. We keep our energy low. So the more we believe, the more we heighten our vibration, the more we say positive things to ourselves, we're lifting our vibration so that in essence, all of those lower energy, parasitical entities, energies can no longer exist there because they can't live in a higher vibrational frequency. So once we are resonating in a vibration of love, gratitude, joy, appreciation, you're no longer, they can't even live there. They can't exist there. Those parasites can't live in an alkaline body, for instance. Once the sugar is gone, they're like, we hate kale, I'm out of here. So, they're not staying. So you're basically alkalizing body, mind, and spirit. And so this is important for nutrition. We don't talk a lot about it, but honestly, I'm a nutrition Sister, I am all every day nutritionized. I deeply involved in my superfoods company I partner with that I love. If you're interested, hit me up. It is life-changing. And I'm telling you, getting real superfoods, alkalizing greens, grains, all that into your body, getting anything white basically out of your diet because it all converts to sugar. Breads, rice, all of it converts to sugar. And we're really better on root crops. We really do better with the roots. They're good for our digestion. There's so much we could talk about when it comes to nutrition, but I highly encourage you to see what's in your highest good for your body to just create an alkaline environment, one where no bugs live.
Yeah, and there's so much information that people can access about that. And
Yes.
I'm not schooled in it. You're not really schooled in it, except for ourselves. Well, maybe you are. I won't speak for you.
Thank you.
I'm not. I haven't studied nutrition. I just know what works for me and my body based on what I've learned, and have had to learn sometimes where I thought it'd be a great idea for me to be vegan and not eat meat or cheese well, that really wasn't working for me. So I needed to find a balancing place where I eat a lot more plants than I ever did, but I'm not 100% plant-based, and that's okay. That's where I'm at today. And so let's not make each other wrong for where we are. Just notice where you are, and then make adjustments.
No one's making anybody wrong, Eila.
No, I know.
Nobody's wrong.
While you were talking about the parasites and the jealousy and the snakes, and I thought, well, sometimes we encounter somebody else who has that, right? Mm-hmm. You can see, if you don't see the snake running around them, the jealousy. Mm-hmm. What can we do about that? What do we do with that?
Don't get involved.
Just don't give it anything, right?
It's not yours to deal with. Just love that person.
Yeah.
Give them love. Love you. Give thanks and praise. Back to gratitude. I give thanks and praise. I can be right here. I just love you, and I'm not going to play any games with this. I'm not going to buy into anything. I'm not going to give a thread to feed that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be love.
Including not being defensive.
That's all feeding at. That's all me coming out of neutrality. If I'm doing that, I'm not in neutrality.
Right.
That means I'm getting involved.
Yeah. Got hooked.
To be defensive or offensive is getting involved. Period. Mm-hmm. It's energy. Neutrality is zero.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking about, so I'm really good at being neutral on the outside, but that doesn't mean something isn't churning on the inside.
Then you're not really in neutrality.
So I'm not really in neutrality.
No, you're not. So that's back to the inner work. See, it's not really real until that neutral feeling. There's something else going on, which is the thought you have to follow to go, where is that coming from? Why am I feeling this about this situation?
Right. Why is that?
Why is it? What's it bringing up? What's it triggering in me?
Yeah.
Because if there's a trigger, if there's not a neutral feeling all the way through, then it's still there. You're just good at being polite.
I think, for me, it's that sense of I need to fix it, even though it's not about me, even though somebody else is in there, whatever they're in. It's that I take it on as a responsibility that really doesn't belong to me.
So here's a good way of that. Unless somebody is asking you for help, it is not your responsibility. Mm-hmm. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as as a healer, as someone who's been in the healing arts for 24 years, 25 years, I've always known you can't help anybody that doesn't ask you.
Yeah.
So
that's
really what it comes down to. Is I see all sorts of things, but I can't go around saying, "Hey, you have a snake on you," in
a grocery store.
Yeah, that's not cool. Everyone's on their journey, and not my kuleana. And if somebody wants my help, they'll come ask me for help. Otherwise, give thanks and praise, love you, and be on your merry journey.
Right. Yeah, good point. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can see something with someone else, and we can ask them, "I see something. Are you interested in something I'm sensing or feeling about you?"
Yes and no. And I want to say this about that, because I've done that. It didn't always work out.
I'm sure it didn't.
And because here's the other thing about that. I might see something for somebody that they're not really ready to see.
Yeah.
So it might be am I wanting to tell them because it's really in their highest good for them to know this information, or do I just want to tell them because I want them to know?
Make me feel better.
It would make me feel better for
Yeah.
you to know.
Yeah.
Like it's important to gauge where that's coming from, because we also like, let's say for instance, if you've already hiked the trail, right? And you know there's this one section that's like, oh, but it's magic. That's this cool waterfall. Oh, God, I remember when I first saw it. It was so cool. You're not going to tell me about it like that because you want me to have that magical experience.
Right.
Don't take away don't tell me the movie. Don't tell me the plot. Tell me the whole thing.
Well, and because I might have a completely different experience.
Right. So we could share afterward and then have like,
Right.
what was your experience? And then this is mine.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're not going to preempt mine because then you're kind of taking away my journey of it.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to take away my experience of the movie or whatever.
Right.
So you're going to allow me to have it. So if I preempt and tell someone something that they're not yet ready to hear, they miss the lessons and the journey of kind of figuring that out and then realizing it and then asking for help.
Yeah, and that also brings up expectations for me. It's like if you tell me how wonderful it is, now I may have raised certain expectations that it's never going to live up to because I have this whole story now in my head that you put in there before I got on the trail.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you're like, this isn't that great.
I don't know what's up with her.
I don't even know. Yeah, and I kind of, then that's like you ruined it for you because you had created some other thing and then it ended up not being what it was meant to be for you.
Right, and maybe the day that you were there, you created that magical experience. It may have had nothing to do with the waterfall. It may have just been where you are and your vibration and what you attracted to you.
Well, and
So-
that goes back to kind of like, there's this age-old realtor story, like, people are coming to buy a house. And you're like, so what do the people like here? She goes, well, what do the people like where you live? Oh, they don't get along. They fight all the time. People are nuts. They don't really hang out, She goes, well, people are like that here too. And then another couple comes along to buy a house and same thing. What do the people like here? Well, what do the people like where you live? Oh, we get along great. We have potlucks. Everybody gets together. It's a really tight-knit community. We have so much love. She goes, well, the people are like that here too. So it's really wherever you're attracting.
You're creating.
You're creating your own reality. You draw the vibrational experience to you, which you are wanting to have. And we do that more efficiently by holding our vibration. And how do we hold it? How do we actually level up? Well, we stock our mind. We use our tools all day, every day, until you're literally, those thoughts are gone. Like you kind of like focus, and then you get a tool. It's not unlike anything else. You learned, I was an ice skater, I would practice a jump. Practice. Once you land the jump, I got it. I landed it. I got it now. I land it all the time. Boom, 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 boom. See, once you got it, you got it.
Right.
Same thing. You work hard. You have to pull that thought out, work hard. But once you get it, it's clicked in.
It
You're
gets
done.
easier then.
That
Yes.
gets easier. Next.
Next
Give me the
thing.
next one. And you just keep going little by little, leveling up.
Also, I know sometimes when we get our own lessons and we get some new tools and we feel really good and we're on a high, we want to tell everybody else what to do.
Right.
And I want to remind people to just do you.
Just do you.
Do you, and by doing you, you model something. And if somebody wants to know what you're up to, or why you're glowing like that, they'll ask you. But you don't have to volunteer because you see them miserable and you just know what would make them happy. That would be taking their power from them. So let them be and let them find their way without, try to manage your own expectations.
When I say there's this little, I don't know if any of you saw it. It was a video that went viral like maybe a decade ago. Has it been that long? It's this little girl, like, trying to put on her seatbelt in the back of the car in her little car seat. And the dad's reaching back, like trying to help. She goes, no. She's like, worry about yourself. And she goes, you drive. Worry about yourself. I got it. I want to do it myself. So worry about yourself. Don't worry
Yeah.
about anybody else. We can put on our own seatbelts and, feed ourselves, do what we need to do. We can
Yeah.
just be there to model with one another. Like Eila was saying,
Yeah.
just live it. If we live those things and others, want to live it. I teach children a lot, right? And so oftentimes a kid wants to, I don't want to do this. Okay, go sit down.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
Go sit down and then feel free
Do
to just
something
sit there
else.
for a moment.
Yeah.
And then literally, we're having so much fun,
Yeah.
dancing, having a great time. That child's sitting there like, well, wait a minute. I want to be over there doing that. And then they get up on their own and come.
Which is much more powerful than you dragging them up or guilting them up or, oh, you have to do this. Yeah.
That's right. Choice. We're
Yeah.
all here making choices. All the things we talk about are a choice. You don't have to do any of these things if you don't want. You're like, screw that. I don't think anything that she's saying is great.
I'm going to go have a beer and call it a day.
And have a steak and be done. And that's up to you. It really is our own journey.
Yeah.
We're all on our own journey. It's just all about where you want to go. Ultimately, it's what train ticket do you want to buy? Where are you going? Are you staying? For me, I kind of think of it this way. Do you want to stay in the cycle of reincarnation, in the cycle of coming back and reincarnating here
And doing the
kind of
same
thing
stuff?
again?
Yeah.
Or do you want to leave that cycle and enter into the cycle of life? And the cycle of life means we are whole. We've got all of our energy. It means we have a lot more awareness, so we can actually navigate our energetic bodies and self and navigate where we want to go from here, because we are everlasting Christ-like beings. We are divine beings, that there is no real death. The death is just a part of the illusion.
Just a transition to another place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong answer. There's just your answer.
Sure.
And your answer may be one thing today and may change tomorrow. And that's okay, because it's your movie, right?
It is your
Yeah.
choice.
It's your
All
choice,
about your choice.
movie. So any last words for our people today? It's 4 minutes to 4 and 3 minutes to 4.
Well, I just encourage everyone to just listen to your own divine guidance, because ultimately it is your movie. You're in your own video game. It works like that. You're navigating it, picking up your power, getting your super tools, and leveling up. So make it fun, sing a jingle, make noises, speak out loud, take up space, trust yourself, and know that you are an infinite co-creator of the Most High.
Well, that says quite a bit. I want to thank you for being here today and for sharing this experience with me and with all the people who are listening, whether it's today live or a lot of people like to go to the podcasts, which they can find on Spotify, Google, and Apple.
Oh, and you can also find them on my YouTube channel, Michál Anna, MichalAnna, along with a lot of other meditations and tools if you're looking for more tidbits.
Yes, and I want to say that Michál's meditations are quite powerful, and I highly encourage them. And they're right there on YouTube for you to check it out. So we will be back. What is today?
We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Couple weeks, yes. So 14 days from today is the 20th, I think. I should have looked at that earlier. But anyway, we'll be back in a couple weeks. And
if you're here in Kohala, the night market is happening over here.
in 2 minutes.
We'll look
yes.
at that till 7. And Eila and people from the station will be out there doing some live radio. And there's going to be food trucks, all sorts of fun things. So
Yeah.
looks like it stopped raining. So come on, Kohala. Come on out and have some
Come
fun.
on out and play.
And keep playing no matter what you're doing. Be in your beautiful, alive selves. And aloha.
Aloha, everyone. Until next time.